Sudin, may I now humbly request you to please take up the stage as you lead the discussion forward for us. Please welcome the panelist, the seasoned panelist, the acclaimed, the mavens. Please welcome Kunal Urdhwareshe, the head analytics at Aditya Birla Housing Finance. Please welcome Kunal with a good round of applause. Can we all get a little kinetic here, moving here with all the applauses, please? Now the energy should be hitting top notch on the excitement meter. Please welcome Nilotpal Gupta, the head of data science at ICICIDirect. Please welcome Satish Pengal, the head of IT at Upstox, and Vivek Zakarde, of course. Vivek, very good to be welcoming you as well, the head data engineering and data science at IndiaFirst Life Insurance Company. Please welcome our panelists and of course our session chair. We'll request you to please align yourselves, seeing your very good looking pictures, like I always put it this way. The final panel discussion, please lend your ears to the insights coming forward. Over to you, Sudin. Thank you. Thank you, Nilotpal, for joining us. Thank you.
Hi. So let's start. Today we're facing very massive and complex application ecosystems. I can tell you from my own experience in large global banks, we've got more than 400 global applications. Don't ask me how we got there, but it's very complex. We've got more than probably 2,500 live production databases. We are running enterprise data warehouses with nearly 600 production nodes. And then we've got a whole lot of several hundred code repositories to add to the complexity. So we got to tackle all these challenges. It's not easy. Migration is not easy. Running the organization and changing the organization is not easy. But we have to do it because we have to innovate and transform.
Volumes are very high and the patience is literally not there. When I say this, what I mean to say is in case if something goes wrong, or let's say not even wrong, like, in case there are any delays, such a feedback is like, straight away on the social media rather than like, it coming to us. So we need to be very careful, like, when we are making any changes to the environment. There goes a lot of planning in terms of, first of all, understanding, like, why we intend to make certain changes, or probably like, why we intend to make any changes to the ecosystem, because let's for a minute assume that, like, all other constraints which could be related to the budget or which could be related to information security is addressed, regulation requirement is also addressed. Like, people are still a bit concerned about making any changes to the ecosystem or disturbing the status quo. The reason being, like, in the nature of the business we are in, like, if something goes wrong, we have a very, I would say, a very low margin of error, and we have to ensure, like, we fix it as soon as possible and services are promptly available and restored. Now, when we have to take care of such a situation, like, there is lot of planning goes into it. We try and understand, like, why certain changes needs to be implemented, what are the risks associated, what are the critical business operations which will get affected, and figure out like, if the applications which we are making going to change, or the services which we are going to make the changes is a monolith. Is there any way to decouple it? And if, like, there is a way to decouple it, then we, like, would try to make like, fragmented changes rather than a big bang changes. And again, like, we'll have to figure out a mechanism wherein we are able to probably, like, coexist both the new and the old method of working, wherein, like, both the environments are working in parallel, at the same times are completely in sync, and we are able to, like, deliver the services without any performance lags when we do such a migration. We have to also figure out, like, okay, we have thought about the changes, we have put up the plan in place, but are we going to like, probably keep it operating out of the on-premise data center, or probably like, we are going to look at the cloud as a service provider. And in case if the cloud is a service provider, then like, yes, there would be different regulatory challenges which we need to address, which we are going to figure out, like, yes, the services which we are going to use from the cloud service provider, are those compatible with the, like, the application or the services which we intend to migrate. So all those probably like, complete assessment needs to happen, and then only like, we'll be able to go ahead with the changes. And even when like, we are to a certain extent deployed the changes, a continuous validation of the system will keep taking place to ensure like, there is no inconsistencies in the data, like, which is there in the on-premise or probably the old environment and in the low environment. So I would say it will be a continuous long journey where we'll do a continuous validation and would like, staggered our changes in batches rather than like, taking a big bang approach, just to avoid the magnitude of impact like, that is going to bring in while dealing with such critical changes in the environment.
No, great. Thanks for sharing that insight, Satish. And moving on to Nilotpal. Satish mentioned about we need to run in parallel. That's able to run the mission critical workloads and at the same time do the change by adopting AI, cloud, and emerging tech. So at one hand, we have to continue with our DevOps, and now we have to shape up our AI ops and ML ops and whatever else new is coming, our data pipelines, and a whole lot of stuff which is coming up new. How do we do this? It's also, from a team perspective, from a skill perspective, right? It's not, DevOps is obviously, more focused on the code and the code libraries, whereas on the AI ops and ML ops, it's more on the model, right? So that's a big difference also in the way that and we have to also standardize all this, right? In phases. So what do you think are the best practices around this?
There is LLM ops also. Okay, anyways. The most talking point these days are cybersecurity and AI, right? Now, the thing is, what AI will solve for is the biggest thing everybody is hunting around, right? There is definitely a disruption. There's no doubt about that. Now, at the enterprise level, we need to think of that when you look at enterprise AI, what it can solve at scale. AI is consumerized. All of us in the phone are having so much things on AI, right? So now, few things is that, the whole point of whether we can do AI on cloud or AI on premise, okay? There are different thoughts to it, different approaches to it. I think one of the things we need to think for is that what kind of use cases we are trying to solve, right? Eventually, we say that, we will bring ML ops, DevOps, LLM ops, all of this. At the end of the day, the CFO or the CEO will ask, what is the ROI, right? Now, the way to think about it is that there could be certain use cases like certain machine learning models that can still run on premise and solve the business problem, right? And there are areas like generative AI, which at this stage definitely needs cloud. It is very difficult to solve a generative AI, when you have to use a generative AI capability to solve a use case. It's very difficult at this point of time to solve it on premise. Okay. Now, for example, the very spoken thing about us, a chatbot on the website, right? Where the customers are putting queries and it's getting answered. So from a menu-driven bot, you are moving to an NLP-driven bot, and using generative AI. Then a lot of, there are agents, AI-driven agents coming out. So it's replacing the human agents. Now, whether it can replace completely or not, that could vary from industry to industry, right? Now, on the part of it, we need to understand that when we talk about cloud, there is an information security angle attached to it. The first question that will come in is that when you want to solve an AI use case using generative AI capability or certain other AI capability, what data will move from on-premise to cloud? The first thing, that's where the strategy needs to be very clear. And it requires a lot of approval to go through before we get into that. Now, there are capabilities available in AWS, in Azure, in GCP, depending on the organization's use case and the relationship that goes. The second biggest thing is that skill set and training of the people, because some of these technologies are very new. It does just post-COVID and pre-COVID, the life has changed. So the technologies that is getting used have also changed. So how do you train the data science team and ensure that they remain with you, right? So it's a cat and mouse game. So that's the second part of it. The third most important part of it is we need to have a governance in place. We need to ensure what's happening. There is a control that we have, because whichever industry we operate with, there is regulation. And if the regulator is asking something, we need to be in a position to answer that this is what is happening, right? So these are the three aspects I think we need to take care of when we think about AI, cloud, and emerging tech.
Yeah, and all your regulations are coming under something called RegTech. And connected with that is also your ethical and responsible AI to make sure that everything is okay and there's no bias and everything is fair to society. Yeah, thanks. Moving on to Kunal. We know about the security issues, right? We know that there are huge costs for cost of good security, and there can be disastrous costs for cost of poor security, right? And we've seen all that happening, right? Kunal. So how do we manage this? I mean, these are very, very big risks. And we've seen recently how some airlines have not been able to get their systems up and running because of the Windows issue and a security threat issue. And they were without their systems for nearly about 2 weeks. And they had to lose about several $100 million, right? And that's very serious because that can affect all organizations. So how do we resolve these challenges? What are the even cybersecurity itself is so fast evolving, right? I was just reading about 3 months back that one of the largest banks in the largest banks in the US and one of the largest banks in the world, JP Morgan, gets hit by more than 30 billion attacks per day. Okay, this is in the public domain. And that's just one big bank, although it's a big bank. And there are so many other organizations. So you can just see the tsunami of cybersecurity threats that are hitting organizations, right? So what is the way forward? How do we plan? How do we keep evolving? How do we adapt to this new tsunami of cybersecurity threats?
You have a very valid point. I mean, in India also the same trend has been now recently observed that every month, every year, we see a tremendous amount of cyber attacks. And majority of them are pointed towards the finance sector, being kind of ransomware attacks, some malicious softwares being deployed on the systems. Recently also we had some payment crisis, maybe a week ago, something like that. So similar are the incidents are going up, and it is because Industry is now adopting a multi-cloud strategy, right? As Nilotpal also said that what data should reside, what should be the security layers on the multi-cloud environment, how do we access it? There are privileged users which can also take into the kind of their misuse of their privileged accesses, right? So that has to be also checked in. I mean, the zero trust policy is something we need to ensure that no one misuses the privileged accesses. They should be checked. Whenever there is a edge computing that is happening or whenever there is a core computing that is happening, we need to ensure the sufficient kind of security layers, the data encryptions. Recently, the government is trying to bring in the DPDP Act, which also acts upon the digital data and digital private data privacy act kind of a stuff, and which ensures or which kind of expects all the fiduciaries or data users or data custodians to keep the data safe whenever it is, whether it is in motion, whether it is in resting, whether it is in your in-house data centers, outsourced data centers, on-prem or be it in cloud. Having said that, there are multiple analytical models and workloads that are working on these kind of data centers heavily. GPUs, CPUs are being used to compute and generate some insights for the regular day-to-day business runnings. Now, ensuring a check on that, recently RBI has also done a kind of a initiative that they want to validate the expected credit losses model. Whatever the models which are kind of enabling the risk underwriting in the kind of domain, which generally puts the economy, the kind of GNPAs, gross non-performing assets, into the check, and so as the functioning of the entire ecosystem, the financial ecosystems, works smooth. So these are the challenges, and regarding the data management, the data inconsistencies, the scrutiny, the securitization layer, I mean, all of this is a complete ecosystem that's part of, and IT and the data infrastructure teams has a biggest responsibility. However, it comes with a cost, but this cost is something which is a good cost to have. And that's the kind of landscape, and these are the strategies which people are adopting to mitigate the cyber risks.
Sure. Thanks, Kunal. Yeah. Moving on to Vivek. AI is big. It's a tsunami of AI. All the hot money, all the investments are going into AI. There are a few signals of some other stacks, some hype stacks, around the corner. But I can tell you that most of the money is going into AI and related kind of tech stacks. So how do we, Vivek, how do we plan for all this, right? How do we plan AI for your data, for business, for applications, for technology, for your data center, for your cloud, for your mission critical apps, right? It's again, we have to do a lot of rewiring. We have to do a lot of reprioritizing, right? How do we plan for this?
Yeah, so since we are from BFSI sector, so there is very clear classification that what should be go on a mission critical and what should be on a cloud. Of course, our core systems are still on-prem and other applications where we are not having a customer information, that is only goes on a cloud. From that perspective, we are, and as my profile is, I am as a data officer, so what I try to do that, we try to focus more on encryption and the key management part, where we should make sure that whatever the encrypted data and what should be the guidelines as for the compliance and regulation, we should follow that, like a GDPR and GDP, and make sure that whatever the regulatory bodies are, the policies are there. So we just build our policies of prevention of a data would be revolve around that. So we make sure that decryption is there, proper key management which should be there. Biggest thing comes when you have the large data volumes, because this is right now the rapid growth of a data is a concern for us. We don't have a framework for that, how to manage that, and in that rapid data growth, there are chances of breaching data, access management. So we make sure that inside threats have we managed when it's come for the breaching data, and what should we do, make a policy around that, that it should not happen by the insider threats. So how to manage the access, who should access what kind of a data. So for building some governance around that, it's very important for us to build a data governance. Initially, what happens that when we all are on-prem, there was a data warehousing, and then reports and data science analytical models are there, but no data governance was not there. So now we come up with a policy that first we build a data governance layer below our data warehousing part, and then extend and try to provide a data as per the requirement, or build our data science or AI algorithms based on data governance. And when we say data governance, all policies for the data encryption, masking, providing access creations, all is come under data security, all come under data governance.
You mentioned data masking. Any work done on data masking using some emerging tech like synthetic data?
Yeah, so we are not using synthetic data for data masking, but of course we are using it for it's a Gen AI, so to train our models, because most of the times we don't have much historical data to train our AI models. So we are using synthetic data because it's almost like similar to the real-time data, and which help us to build some historical data, which is much better if you like to have some better precision in your data science and AI models. So synthetic data will help you to build these kind of a data based on the historical data created by these Gen AIs.
Great, thanks Vivek. So one final question, and this can be a round robin. Any points you would like to highlight from the impact of your initiatives, your digital transformation initiatives, your modernization initiatives, your innovation initiatives that really are able to merge the AI, the cloud, the data center, and all these applications? Any highlights that you would like to share? All of you.
I'll go.
We can start with you.
Yeah. So, I mean, many of us would have seen instant lending offerings from all the financial institutions, mostly in the unsecured space.
Like your buy now, pay later, and
Buy now, pay later, be it credit cards on the go, be it account opening facilities that are on the video KYC kind of a facility. There are instant credit lines that are
works very well, by the way. I mean,
Yeah,
what
which works
RBI
very well, yeah.
approved is really works very well. Yeah, the video KYC.
even the Aadhaar enabled. So the kind of eKYC or Aadhaar enabled verifications from your mobile is something which is an example of edge computing, wherein your biometrics are getting verified through mobile, through the devices. The video KYC is the specific example is DigiYatra on the airports, such a convenience. All of these kind of government initiatives, digital public infrastructure getting leveraged across to revive the lending industry and the landscape, and the availability of the credit scoring models with the help of the sophisticated credit bureaus, credit information companies, storing that information available on the go for the consumption, for the repayment patterns the customer would have exhibited. And now it is very easy. You can avail a credit line. The accessibility to credit has increased, and it's all on the backdrop of strong data technology, strong IT infrastructure, enhanced AI and machine learning capabilities, the predictive analytics. The kind of classical statistics has played a very important role in terms of reviving this.
High degree of automation also as compared to our previous processes. Yep. Yeah. What about Nilotpal and Kunal and Vivek?
What is coming out is customer service is one area where there's a lot of things that can be tried out. So that's one area where we are focusing, and operations.
And I think this, the overall digital experience, has really improved in terms of, I think everything, just the experience, the analytics, the insights, the service, right? It's seen a great level of, I mean, there could be one-off cases, but overall, I think, would you all agree that, the emerging tech and digital transformation has really improved overall the digital experience and customer experience?
Okay, so probably I'll share the use cases where we are making the best uses of AI and the ML. Now, considering the nature of the business we are in, it is becomes really important, that our estimations are very closer to the accuracy, and in that regards, month on month, or probably even on daily basis, it becomes really important for us to estimate the revenue or forecast the revenue, which is very close to the accuracy, and then that's where we make use of these technologies. And apart from that, it is very important for us to understand what kind of revenue a customer is generating during his entire life with the Upstox as a platform, right? So again, use case. Also, based on the customer's behavior, we are able to figure out whether that customer might switch to another platform based on the various transactions. We can study certain pattern and the behavior. From a customer support standpoint, I believe more or less you guys are already aware about voice bot, chat bot, we are anyways making use of it. From the monitoring standpoints, we've been talking about AI ops, and that helps us to probably do a thorough analysis of the various alerts which are getting generated, monitoring data which is getting generated, and probably come closer to do some kind of predictive analysis and proactively identify the failures within the environment. Thank you.
Thanks, Satish. Vivek, you have the final word.
Yeah, so of course we are using it. We have bifurcated into the sales, operations, underwriting, claims. So from sales perspective, we are doing for the upsell, cross-sell, and doing a customer acquisitions. And on that side, it's very heavily dependent on our personalized AI algorithms, which helping us to target at their personas, because we have already customer 360. So it's based on the customer to customer, we have the campaigns run on the sales and then doing the upsell, cross-sells. In underwriting, we are trying to do from the help of AI that how much risk we have, and not going to the 100 cases. 100 cases should not, if there are 100 cases, all should not go to the underwriters. Hardly few cases goes to underwriters. So there we are saving a manpower for us. In a claims, we are finding out the claim, the frauds, where we can say that which claim is at the point of claiming the claim, we can say that, okay, this might be look like a fraud, and immediately it goes to the field team. They can investigate it more, and there is a heavy saving for us. For underwriting, yeah, so these all are the cases where we are doing, and of course, Gen AI is coming into that, so that is adding an extra advantage to that.
So thank you all.